Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about something that people who have come to the game recently might not have a full grasp on, and that's going to be force antes, and really just how the force gauge works. So let's start with the very beginning. When you're first setting up the game, there are 45 force available in a two-player game. You set aside 45 force, then you get each player 2 force. To start the game, there are now 41 force remaining. When all that force is gone, that is the last turn of the game. There's one additional turn after all the force is gone. What this means is that a game will typically never go beyond 20 turns, can go to 21 if no player ever goes below 10 life, or 7 life rather. However, most games are going to end in the 12 to 14 turn range. So when you're at the end of the phase is when you're going to get 1 force each. If you are then below 7 health, you will get 1 additional force. And this comes from that pool of 45. Whenever you spend force or use force, whether it be from cards on your styles for a few specific fighters, such as Serafina, she does have abilities on her styles which will allow her to trash force to get additional effects. She also has abilities on her styles which will give her additional force. She takes that from the pool of 45 that you both start with. So a Serafina in the game will actually usually end the game sooner than it would be if she wasn't playing, just because she pulls force out, which is how the game uses the timer. So during the ante phase, you have a few different options. Each player has the overload tokens, defense up, trash 2 force for +2 guard, speed up, trash 2 force for +2 priority, and power up, trash 2 force for +1 power. And I see a lot of players, especially new players, get some things wrong about this. The first thing to note is of these, speed up does not necessarily make you go faster. Ordinarily what this ante does is force your opponent to also ante their priority. So antes go back and forth. If your opponent antes speed, you should be considering why that is. And if you don't have a good reason not to, you should be counter-anteing priority. Now, that doesn't mean that it's useless. It's particularly good against either opponent's finishers when they might not have the force to be able to counter-ante, when they need to ante a different token and maybe can't afford it, such as if I have to ante power to get around your armor or your guard, and you're going to ante stun guard, you may not be able to counter ante priority. But I see a lot of people ante priority when they want to go faster. That doesn't usually work out. Usually if you ante priority, it's because you want to drain your opponent's force, either because you're getting more force because you're using the switch style more often, or just you might be below on life, in which case it's better to get them to constantly ante and drain their force so you can get unopposed antes later. So let's go and talk about the switch style. The switch style is a little bit different. It's no longer the special, the force special action. It reads, spend force equal to your life to replace your attack with your finisher, trash this card, and pick up your base. There are a couple things to note. Number 1, everyone gets a switch style. Getting switch has been pretty good for a few select fighters, particularly Magdalena and Demetros. Most fighters aren't going to be super excited about switch, but it does have use in mostly fighters with range kits, going to be Rook, Welsi-like switch, people who have limitations elsewhere on their styles and can appreciate a kind of a blank style. Those are going to be people who got a small power boost with the version 4 expansion, just because they didn't have an option like that before, and now they do. One thing to note on the switch style, that reveal effect is not optional. If you reveal and you have enough force that you can afford its ability, you have to use its ability. However, let's say, for instance, in this scenario, I have 6 life and I have 7 force, I have the option, if I don't want to use my finisher during the ante phase, if I ante power up, suddenly I only have 6. This is, or 5 force, and I have 6 health. So this is no longer going to work, and I'm just going to dodge instead. But if I don't ante this, my finisher will go off. So you do have this as an option as an option select during the ante phase by anteing some of your tokens. You do have the option to switch your finisher. That sounds useful. It's less useful than you might think. The regain of force, however, on switch can be exceptionally useful. If you're able to get 2 switches in, and you'll see this pair particularly a lot, switch dodge, you're going to be able to get 1 opposed force ante sometime during the game, most likely. These are pretty powerful effects if your opponent can't also counter ante them. Going 2 faster and having your strike clash a dodge or strike clash a grasp is kind of a big deal. Getting your drive unopposed over their grasp is a big deal. Being able to counter-ante or to anti-stun guard on your shot, for instance, and they don't have enough to anti-power. These are things that can win you a beat, and you don't need to win very many beats to win a game of Battlecon. There are a few edge cases that can come up with force, some of which I wanted to talk about. So as the game gets closer to its end, once the last person takes force, either because, so let's say there's 3 force left, we're both below 7 life, so we'll both actually still get 2 force. You'll actually take that extra force from either the trashed pile or something similar, and you'll play 1 more turn. The 1 more turn is a little bit interesting. The tiebreaker rules in this game are as follows. If you have equal life at the end of the last turn, the reactive player, so the person who went last, is going to be the winner of the game. If you both have equal life and you both say, do a clash with a tiebreaker, for instance, let's say you both have a finisher with a tiebreaker and you both go off at the same time, the person who anteed first, so that's going to be the person who is first last beat, is actually the person whose finisher will go off first. On the other hand, if both of your finishers miss, nobody takes any damage, the person who went second is going to be the winner because they're the reactive player. This pretty much covers all of force and how it's a little bit different from maybe the force special action that you might be used to. There's no longer pulse, there's no longer cancel. Not only that, but you don't have to do some weird Konami code with your bases to figure out, oh, if it's grasp, it's a pulse, if it's a strike, it's a cancel. Anytime you use switch, your finisher will go off if you have force greater than or equal to your life. That pretty much covers it. I'll have a couple other videos with its new setup soon. Look forward to talking to you guys then. Thanks.